The golden rays of dawn painted the valley of the Little Bighorn in hues of amber and crimson. Wooden Leg, a young Cheyenne warrior, crouched at the ridge's edge, his keen eyes scanning the horizon. His heart drummed against his ribs, matching the distant, rhythmic beat of war drums echoing from the vast encampment below. Then, a glint of light, something metallic, flashed across the valley. He stiffened. The long knives were coming. A dozen Cheyenne scouts lay low among the tall grass, whispering urgent messages to one another. "They are many," one muttered. "Too many," another echoed. Wooden Leg felt the cool, worn leather of his bowstring under his fingertips as he reached for an arrow. But they would not strike yet. The warriors needed rest, and their horses, exhausted from days of relentless movement, hung their heads low, their flanks still damp with sweat. In the sprawling encampment, three mighty nations had gathered: the Northern Cheyenne, the Lakota Sioux, and the Arapaho, forming an alliance of nearly 3,000 warriors. At the heart of the camp, Sitting Bull stood with unshakable composure, his piercing gaze sweeping over his people. Beside him, Crazy Horse, the legendary Oglala war chief, listened intently. Sitting Bull raised a hand for silence. "They bring their speaking irons," he intoned, referring to the soldiers' rifles. "But we are the wind. We do not stand in their path, we surround them. We do not march in lines, we move as the river moves." The warriors prepared for battle with solemn reverence. They painted their faces with symbols of protection, securing medicine bundles to their bodies. War songs wove through the camp like an invisible force, strengthening their spirits for the bloodshed ahead. Then the first mistake. A young Cheyenne, emboldened by the fever of battle, charged ahead alone. The soldiers' Indian scouts, Crow warriors who had allied with the U.S. Army, sprang into action. Three of them broke off from the advancing cavalry, spurring their horses to intercept the lone Cheyenne. "Fool!" an older warrior hissed from concealment. But it was too late. Wooden Leg and four others moved swiftly, flanking the pursuing scouts. With a sharp whistle, he signaled the attack. Arrows whistled through the air, striking true. The Crow scouts veered off, abandoning their quarry, and the young warrior escaped with his life. The message was clear: the battle had begun. A thunderous cry erupted as warriors surged forward. A wave of painted bodies and glinting steel. The long knives fired their rifles in steady volleys, but the warriors did not engage in a headlong charge. They moved like phantoms, darting in and out of range, loosing arrows high into the sky so they rained down upon the enemy like deadly hail. In the chaos, Jack Red Cloud, son of the famed chief, fell from his horse as a bullet struck the beast dead beneath him. Warriors were expected to maintain composure in such moments, to retrieve their horse's bridle as a mark of defiance before retreating. But Jack Red Cloud, in his haste, forgot. The enemy scouts fell upon him, tearing his war bonnet from his head. Humiliation burned hotter than the midday sun. Across the battlefield, Wooden Leg witnessed the soldiers' desperate attempt to regroup. Their lines wavered, confusion spreading like sickness. The warriors pressed in, tightening their grip. Arrows struck horses, sending them into frenzied madness, throwing their riders into the dust. A warrior leapt forward and rammed a spear through a cavalryman's chest, lifting him off his feet before letting him crumple to the ground. A soldier turned his revolver toward Wooden Leg. Time slowed. The flash of gunpowder, the deafening crack, the bullet grazing his shoulder. But before the soldier could fire again, Wooden Leg's pony whip cracked against his skull. The man toppled from his horse, and Wooden Leg seized his rifle. It was a fine weapon, better than his bow. He would put it to use. The battle climaxed in horror. Surrounded, the soldiers faced a fate they could not bear. Wooden Leg, peering through the chaos, saw something that haunted him forever: white men turning their guns upon themselves. He could scarcely believe it. The mighty cavalry, the long knives who had terrorized the plains, choosing death by their own hands rather than facing the warrior's wrath. Then, silence. The battlefield lay strewn with bodies, the last echoes of gunfire fading into the wind. Wooden Leg walked among the fallen, leading his horse with slow, deliberate steps. A face caught his eye, a soldier with a golden beard, his mustache still glistening with morning dew. With the practiced precision of a warrior honoring his enemy, Wooden Leg drew his knife and took a trophy, preserving the beard upon the scalp. A pocket watch lay in the soldier's outstretched hand, still ticking. Wooden Leg held it to his ear. Tick, tick, tick. The sound was strange, unnatural, a heartbeat trapped in metal. A soldier's medicine, another warrior murmured. They did not understand it, but they knew it held power. The warriors gathered to honor their dead. 6 Cheyenne had fallen. Their names would be spoken in hushed reverence for generations. But the triumph was fleeting. Wooden Leg knew what would come next. The whites would return, with more soldiers, more guns, and an unrelenting hunger for vengeance. As the tribe prepared to move on, Wooden Leg's father looked upon his son, blood-streaked and battle-worn. The old man nodded approvingly. Your name will not be forgotten. You are no longer eats from his hand. You are Wooden Leg. And so he rode into history, a warrior who had fought in the greatest battle his people had ever seen. But the tick of the stolen watch in his saddlebag was a reminder time was running out for their way of life. The victors of the Little Bighorn would not be victorious forever.